If every disagreement in your relationship somehow turns into the same argument on repeat, this video is for you. You start talking about the dishes, and suddenly you're back at that thing they said 3 years ago at your friend's birthday. You try to talk about being late last night, and now you're rehashing every time they've ever made you feel unimportant. And the worst part? You can predict the entire fight before it even starts. Same lines, same tone, same ending. Both of you exhausted, and nothing actually changing. If that feels a little too familiar, I'm going to walk you through 5 signs you're stuck rehashing old arguments in your relationship, and why that's quietly teaching your nervous system that your partner isn't safe, even though you love each other. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where you stand and what to do about it. Hey there, I'm Ashley, founder of Playful Remedies. I help couples break out of the same argument on repeat cycle and rebuild the kind of safety that makes connection feel easier, lighter, and actually doable. If you're ready for a relationship that doesn't feel like deja vu every time you disagree, go ahead and hit subscribe. You're in the right place. Sign number 1. You can predict the fight word for word. Here's what this looks like. You start a conversation like, "Hey, I felt off about what happened last night." And your partner instantly tenses because they already know where this is going. You hear yourself saying, "We've had this conversation 1,000 times," while also having the conversation 1,001. You can literally hear their next line in your head. "That's not what I meant." "You're overreacting." "We already talked about this." It's like you both hit play on a script you never actually agreed to write. And here's why this matters. If you can predict the fight, it means you're not actually solving anything new. You're replaying an old emotional file that never got closed. So instead of being 2 people trying to understand each other right now, you turn into 2 exhausted actors performing the same scene from last season. If that's you, that's your first sign rehashing old arguments is running the show. Sign number 2. Today's issue becomes a highlight reel of every time they've ever messed up. This one's really common. Here's what I mean. You start with something small, like, "Hey, I felt a little brushed off when you were on your phone during dinner." And before you know it, you're saying, "You always do this, just like at your mom's house, and at that barbecue, and on our anniversary." You find yourself saying, "This isn't just about tonight. This is about every time you do this." You're not talking about this moment anymore. You're dragging in 2017, 2019, that one vacation, that one party, that one text thread, and your partner is sitting there like, "I thought we were talking about dinner. How did we get to a fight from 3 years ago?" The reason this is such a big deal is because when you stack old pain on top of a current issue, your partner doesn't hear, "I'm hurt." They hear, "I'm on trial." And once someone feels like they're on trial, they stop listening and start defending. So if every small conflict turns into, "This is just like that other time," that's sign number 2. You're not just arguing, you're rehashing. Sign number 3. You're keeping receipts, and you pull them out when you're hurt. Now, this one might sting a little because it can feel really justified. Here's how it shows up. You remember exact phrases from old arguments and throw them back at your partner. You remember that 3 Tuesdays ago at 7:32 p.m., you literally said, "I don't have the emotional space for this right now." You find yourself tracking how many times you apologized versus how many times they did. You replay arguments in your head, in the shower, on your commute, while you're doing dishes, and you come back later with new evidence. It almost feels like you're building a case file. Like, "See? I'm not crazy. Look at this pattern. Look at all these examples." And I get it. You're not trying to be petty. You're trying to make your pain undeniable. But here's what it really means. You don't trust that your hurt will be taken seriously unless you prove it. So you keep every emotional receipt just in case. That doesn't make you a villain. It means your relational safety tank is empty. If you're mentally screenshotting every mistake so you can reference it later, that's sign number 3. You're stuck rehashing instead of repairing. Sign number 4, you resolve arguments, but walk away feeling more distant. This is where it gets really clear. Here's what it looks like. The argument ends not with, okay, I feel closer to you now, but with, I'm tired. Can we just drop it? One of you says, whatever, it's fine, but your tone is saying, it's absolutely not fine, and I'm still hurt. After the fight, you go into parallel lives. One of you cleans the kitchen, the other scrolls in the bedroom. No check-in, no softening, no, we're okay. Maybe the conversation technically ends, but your body doesn't get a we're safe again signal. And here's what that does. Your nervous system keeps that fight open as an unresolved file, so the next time something even slightly similar happens, your brain goes, oh, we know this one. Pull up the old file. We're not done with this. You're not broken. Your brain is doing what it's supposed to do, protect you from repeated hurt. But if you never build a habit of repair after conflict, the only tools your brain has are rehash it or avoid it. If you keep ending arguments but never feel closer afterwards, that's sign number 4, the pattern is incomplete. And sign number 5, you avoid bringing up new things because you're afraid it'll trigger an old fight. This is probably the biggest one. Here's how it shows up. You notice something that bothers you and think, if I bring this up, we're going to end up in that same awful argument again. You start editing yourself. It's not worth it. I don't want to deal with all of that tonight. You either swallow it or vent to someone else, or wait until it builds up and then it all comes exploding out in one giant messy conversation. Inside, you're thinking, I want to be honest, but I also want peace. And it feels like you can't have both. Here's why this is so important. When you're afraid to bring up what's real because you don't trust the process, your relationship becomes a place you perform calm instead of experience truth. That's exactly how couples end up feeling like roommates. You're together, you're functioning, but the real you, the hurt you, the scared you, the tender you, that version doesn't feel safe to come out. If you're nodding your head right now, that's sign number 5. Rehashing old arguments isn't just annoying, it's training you to disconnect. So let's zoom out. Here's what's really happening, and this is the part most couples miss. This isn't happening because you fell out of love. This isn't happening because you're too sensitive or your partner is too stubborn. It's happening because no one ever taught you how to complete conflict. You learned how to explain your side, defend your intentions, apologize just enough to move on, or shut it down when it got too intense. But you probably never learned how to name the deeper feeling underneath the argument. Say, here's what I actually needed in that moment. Give each other a clear, felt sense of, we're okay now, we're on the same team. So your brain did what brains do. It adapted. It started associating conflict with exhaustion, defensiveness, walking on eggshells, instead of repair, relief, feeling closer. Every time you rehash, you're not just talking about the past. You're reminding your nervous system, we're not safe here. We don't finish things. We just relive them. The good news? If this is a pattern you learned, it's a pattern you can unlearn. Let's reality check this with a couple of examples. There are couples who still fight but don't rehash. Think about couples you know who've been together 10, 20 years and still actually enjoy each other. They still disagree. They still get annoyed. They're not magical unicorns. But here's what they do differently. After a hard conversation, one of them will circle back and say, hey, I know that got a little tense earlier. I want you to know I love you. Can we talk about what actually hurt? They don't just drop the topic when the volume comes down. They repair the emotional part after the logical part is over. So instead of leaving their nervous system hanging, wondering, are we good? Are we not good? They intentionally send the message, We're okay. The issue was the problem, not you. That extra 5 to 10 minutes of repair is the difference between a fight becoming another rehash versus a fight becoming something you actually learn from and move past. Efficiency versus repair. Let's compare two patterns. Pattern A, you argue. It gets heated. Someone says, let's just forget it. You both shut down and move on. The next time something similar happens, all of that stored energy rushes back in, and you rehash every single piece. Pattern B, you argue, it gets heated, you take a break. Literally say, let's pause and come back in 20 minutes. When you return, you keep it simple. Here's what hurt. Here's what I wish I had done differently. Here's one tiny thing we can both try next time. Then you mark it done with touch, a joke, eye contact, something that signals we're a team. Same amount of conflict. Completely different outcome over time. Pattern A trains you to rehash. Pattern B teaches your brain, we fight, we repair, we move forward. That's why this isn't about being less emotional or never arguing. It's about learning to finish fights instead of dragging them behind you. Okay, let's make this practical. Here's your quick win for tonight. I call it close one case. Pick one old argument you keep circling back to. Not your biggest trauma, just a recurring annoyance you're both tired of revisiting. Sit down somewhere calm, phones away, and say, I don't want to refight this. I want to close it. Each of you takes a turn filling in 2 simple blanks. When that happened, I felt blank. What I really needed was blank. No defensiveness, no debating the details, just listening. Then each of you name one small thing you can try differently next time. Not 10 things, just one. End with a physical case closed signal. A hug, a high five, forehead touch. Something your body will remember as we're okay. And here's the rule. Once that case is closed, you don't bring that specific incident back as evidence in future arguments. You can talk about the pattern, you can express new hurt. But that exact story, it's retired. Do this with just one argument, and your nervous system will get a tiny taste of what completion feels like. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Ashley, these are just small fights. We're busy. We're tired. It's not that deep. And you're right. None of these moments feel like a big deal on their own. But here's what happens when they stack. You wake up one day and realize you're having the same 3 arguments on loop. You've stopped bringing up the things that really matter because you're scared of the fallout. You're sitting next to your partner on the couch, scrolling, feeling lonely, while technically not being alone. That's the real cost. Not just the fights themselves, but the slow, quiet drift into, we don't really talk anymore. We just manage problems together. So let's recap. The 5 signs you're stuck rehashing old arguments are: you can predict the fight word for word. You already know how it's going to go. Today's issue turns into a greatest hits reel of every past mistake. You keep emotional receipts and pull them out when you're hurt. You resolve it, but walk away distant with no real repair. You're scared to bring up new things because you don't want to trigger an old fight. If you're experiencing 3 or more of these, here's what's likely to happen if nothing changes. You'll argue less, but not because you're healed, because you've given up. You'll share less of your real self because honesty feels dangerous. You'll slowly shift from partners to project managers, managing logistics, but not each other's hearts. And I don't want that for you. You deserve a relationship where conflict doesn't equal doom. It becomes a doorway to deeper understanding. The good news? This is fixable. You don't have to become a totally different couple. You don't have to agree on everything. You just need a new way to move through conflict that doesn't involve reliving the same pain over and over again. That's exactly why I created the Ultimate Couples Reset, my free 5-day challenge where I walk you and your partner through simple, bite-sized shifts to stop rehashing the same arguments, start feeling heard and understood, and bring back moments of warmth and play, even if things feel tense right now. Because here's the thing, now that you know these signs, you can't unknow them. You're aware, and awareness is the first step to change. So here's what to do next. Step 1. Comment below and tell me which sign sounds the most familiar to you. Step 2. Join the priority waitlist to be notified about the next free 5-day couples challenge, the Ultimate Couples Reset at playfulremedies.com. Step 3. Tap that subscribe button if you're ready to stop working on your relationship and start actually enjoying it again. You don't need a dramatic breakup or a massive overhaul. You just need to stop letting old arguments drive your story and start practicing repair instead of reruns. You and your partner are still in there. Let's go get you back.